Mary Hunt here at Water, welcoming you to the meditation on July the 11th, 2022 in the US, now July 12th in Australia. We are with Cheryl Nichols tonight, and she's going to be reflecting on the theme of hospitality. And I'm so glad that you are all here, and I hope that you all feel enormously welcome. Um, I will begin, as we always do, with a land acknowledgement, inviting you to acknowledge the people on whose land you sit. We are on the indigenous land in Silver Spring, Maryland, of the Piscataway and Anacostan peoples. And we acknowledge that the trauma that they experienced is deeply embedded in the foundation of this country, as is the trauma of so many people in so many places. We affirm the right of all people to bring their whole selves and their stories into this space. And Water's work, and the reason we do this meditation program, is because we want to be about social justice. And so I invite you just to take a moment to consider the Native people on whose land you sit and offer a special blessing of your own sort to them and to their descendants. This is our 11th meditation for the Water 21-22 season. Last month, Virginia Day, who's with us tonight, led us through what was called The World is Falling Down, Hold My Hand, using Abby Lincoln's powerful song, The World is Falling Down. And you can find the video at waterwomensalliance.org on our website under programs. And if you go into programs and go to Water Meditations, you'll find the presentation. It really was lovely. And I hope you had a chance, if you received the follow-up notes, I hope you had a chance to listen for yourself to the music. Virginia and I decided not to have the music be part of the meditation, but we invited you afterwards to listen to it yourself, and it really is so wonderful. And I want to say again, Virginia, how grateful I am, and I know the group is, to you for a profound message which came just at a time when we needed it. It was a very fortuitous choice. So,
Thank you.
yes, you're welcome. It really was lovely and so appreciated. I want to just remind people of the format once again. Cheryl will speak for just a few minutes, 7 or 8 minutes is usually our max. And then we'll spend 22 minutes in silence together. And people say, oh, why 22 minutes? And of course, I always say it's because it works. Could be 21, could be 42, whatever you want. But we've sort of lucked on 22. And there'll be a gong. Well, actually, the gong has gone missing at the moment, but there'll be a nice tonal sound that will invite you to move into meditation. And then when we finish our time together in meditation, that you'll hear that sound again. And then we'll open the floor for conversation. And we always find that the conversation after we get together, after we sit through the meditation period, is so rich. And even if nobody said anything, it would still be rich just because we're together. And that's the whole point of this, which is to engage in our contemplative practice together. And then to have the dialogue that emerges from that practice be different than how the dialogue would be if we simply hadn't done that at all. And as you know, there are many styles, many ways to meditate. We've never been didactic about that here. Maybe we should be at some point, but many people find using a word or a phrase that might act as a mantra. Whatever works best for you, do it. The key is that we do it together and that we take time to focus our attention so that we don't simply do it for ourselves, but we do it together. I'd ask you now to mute your setting here so that we can keep a clear line. And then I'll introduce Cheryl and she will take over from there. I want to thank everybody for being here. It's always lovely to see you, and we'll talk later about what comes next in terms of water programs. But for now, enjoy the meditation. Cheryl Nichols is a retired teacher who keeps teaching. That's how I think of you, Cheryl, a retired teacher who keeps on teaching. She tutors and teaches English as a new language. She volunteers at the St. Camilla's Food Pantry in Silver Spring and is a water volunteer in helping us in many ways when we need her. She's part of a group I'm part of called SAS, Sisters Against Sexism, which is a women church-based community. And she's very close to the Religious of Jesus and Mary, whose work in Haiti she participated in when circumstances allowed. Thanks for your input tonight on hospitality, Cheryl. Knowing you as well as I do, this is one of your fields of expertise, providing hospitality. So thank you.
I learned it from you and from other very hospitable people. Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much. The background for this poem is from a 3-week course that I took with sisters Mary Lou Kanaki and Jackie Small, Benedictine sisters in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I think if you've been regularly with us over these past couple of years, I have used Sister Mary Lou's poems that she herself has written at least once, if not more than once. I love her programs. I have taken 3 of her courses, always around poetry. And though I am not a poet, I love the poems she chooses. And this was the theme of the 3-week program in May, the gift of holy leisure, 7 poems on the art of wasting time. So I thought it was appropriate that in the middle of summer that we reflect both on leisure and the wasting time that she suggests. And I chose the poem that really focused on hospitality as part of leisure. So I'm going to begin by reading her introduction to the gift of holy leisure. She writes, holy leisure, the Benedictine principle of setting aside some portion of time regularly for one's own personal growth, shows us a different way to approach our schedules, even if we are retired, close parentheses. Holy leisure is Sabbath time. It's a time to rest, and in resting, to grow closer to God. And this is not just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of the whole world. She also did an individual introduction for each of the 7 poems. This was poem number 4. And in her introduction, she writes, quoting Joan Chittister, hospitality means we take people into the space that is our lives, our minds, our hearts, our work, and our efforts. Hospitality is the way we come out of ourselves. The freedom of holy leisure allows us to meet guests with our full presence, with all of our attention. Then we are open to what they have to teach us. And as Naomi Shihab Nye writes in the Red Brocade, we are also able to welcome them into our sacred leisure. And so I will read the poem twice. It's not long. And invite you to really reflect on the gift of hospitality. The Red Brocade. The Arabs used to say, when a stranger appears at your door, feed him for 3 days before asking who he is, where he comes from, where he's headed. That way he'll have strength enough to answer. Or by then you'll be such good friends you won't care. Let's go back to that. Rice, pine nuts. Here, take the red brocade pillow. My child will serve water to your horse. No, I was not busy when you came. I was not preparing to be busy. That is the armor everyone put on to pretend they had a purpose in the world. I refuse to be claimed. Your plate is waiting. We will snip fresh mint into your tea. The Red Brocade by Naomi Shihab Nye. The Arabs used to say, when a stranger appears at your door, feed him for 3 days before asking who he is, where he's come from, or where he's headed. That way, he'll have strength enough to answer, or by then you'll be such good friends you won't care. Let's go back to that. Rice, pine nuts. Here, take the red brocade pillow. My child will serve water to your horse. No, I was not preparing. I was not busy when you came. I was not preparing to be busy. That's the armor everyone put on to pretend they had a purpose in the world. I refuse to be claimed. Your plate is waiting. We will snip fresh mint into your tea.
Thank you, Cheryl. And thank you to the Erie Benedictines. And thank you to Naomi Shihab Nye. We begin our period of meditation. Welcome back to everyone, and again, with thanks to Cheryl and the Erie Benedictines and our poet, Naomi Shihab Nye. Thank you for providing us with such rich material for our meditation.